Hey everyone, good evening. It's Ellen Lewis, and welcome to Crazy for You, our Wednesday podcast. So tonight I am very excited to bring to you two incredibly beautiful new yarns from Noro. Noro has really outdone themselves this season with a lot of new yarns. I think there's probably 4 in all, and they're all fabulous. But the two that I want to focus on tonight are Hunui and Viola. So I'm going to welcome everyone, and then we'll get right started. Hi, Amelia. Nice to see you. So the two new yarns, Hunui is the first that I want to talk about. So Hunui is really, really special. It's a very small production kind of yarn, and it comes from a beautiful family farm in New Zealand. So it's like I said, it's a very small batch kind of production, and it's the sort of yarn where you can see exactly where that yarn has been. When you get it in your hands, you know exactly its provenance. You can trace it right back to this small Gardner family farm in New Zealand, where they especially bred the sheep that makes this yarn. So it's really, really lovely. And that is Hunui. So it comes in 200 gram put up, 437 yards. And one of the things that's really special about it is that it's not dyed at all. So the colors that you have, and there are 5 colors, I have 3 of them here. So let me get the tags out. So this is 3 of the 5 colors, and they're all natural colors from the sheep. So I love that. And you can feel that it's very minimally kind of processed. The yarn is beautiful to touch. It's very lustrous. And if you look at the breeding of the sheep, it is what they call a half-bred plus a Romney. So half-bred, I wrote this down. Half-bred, a New Zealand half-bred is a sheep that is a cross between a British long wool and a merino sheep. And it's nice because it's especially well suited to the climate in New Zealand. And if you read my newsletter this week, you know this and you read all about it. So it's especially sustainable, which I really, really like, because the sheep have been bred to exist in the very unique climate of New Zealand. They have minimal work to do in terms of keeping the animals safe, but it's completely organic. They don't suffer from the kinds of things that other sheep do based on the New Zealand climate, because I understand the New Zealand climate is sort of wet in the ground, and pure merino sheep can suffer from some kind of a disease on their feet. So these sheep don't have that. So they're healthy, and it's this beautiful organic kind of microcosm that I absolutely love. So let's see, we have a lot of folks here. So, hey, Valerie, nice to see you. Norma, Ellen, Rita, Gwen, Eveline. Hi, everybody. Oh, my goodness. So, yes, I am going to carry Madara. I've ordered everything. Yes, all of it. So, let's see. Yes, pretty earthy colors. Hi, Terry. Hi, Anne. Okay, so we are going to get, so questions abound. Is it a heavy wool? Too hot for New Orleans? Oh my goodness, you guys. This is great. We are gonna talk about all of that. Okay, so if you look at the label on Hunui, it says 14 to 16. So they call it a light, bulky, heavy worsted. And of course, I have to swatch it because I want to know. And I have some close-ups. So here's the swatch that I did. I did it on 2 different needle sizes. And this is the gauge at 18 stitches over 4 inches. And this is the gauge at 16 stitches over 4 inches. So I feel like this gauge at 16 is probably its happiest gauge. You could do it at 18 if you wanted to do some kind of an outerwear, absolutely. But let me show you close up how they look. Okay, so here's the close up of the swatch of Hunui. This is the swatch at 18 stitches over 4 inches. I got that gauge on a US size 8, and you can see that it's not a stiff fabric. It's very flexible. If I go to poke my finger through, you know, it's not really going to poke through, but you can get it. It doesn't feel too stiff. And one of the measures that I like to look at when I'm swatching a yarn to determine its gauge is it pleasant to knit at that gauge? I feel like if I'm really struggling to get it tight enough, if it feels too tight and too stiff, then that's not a real happy gauge. But this yarn was beautifully happy, both at 18 stitches over 4 inches, and then here it is at 16 stitches over 4 inches, which I think is really, really a nice, versatile, heavy worsted / Aran gauge. So yay, hi Knitting Fever in Euro Yarns. Happy to have you. Hey Kaidi, nice to see you. Joan and Ray from Brazil, fabulous. Oh, I'm so happy you're here. So like I said, the colors are just beautiful. They're all, like I said, natural colors, and these are the 3 sort of mid. This is the dark, and there's one that's slightly lighter than this, but I will have those on the website and you can see them. So this yarn was featured in the current magazine. I know that although some of the patterns from the magazine are out on Ravelry, not all of them are, but I'm fortunate to have just received the trunk show from that magazine today. So that's what I'll be doing next week on the podcast. And I'll have a couple people in and show you how the sweaters and things look on different people, different sizes and different shapes. So that'll be really fun. But for tonight, what I wanted to do is to show you 2 of the garments in Hunui that I think are absolutely spectacular. So the first one is this one behind me, which is a yoked sweater with color work, and it is just lovely, isn't it? So you have this this color work around the yoke, and then there's a little bit more color work at the cuff. Can you see that? Let me bring this over a little closer. Yeah. So this is called Brioni, and it has a really nice deep ribbed cuff. I'm not a huge fan of yoked sweaters for me personally, but I think this is just an absolutely spectacular example. The yarn, you know, you look at a yarn like this and you don't necessarily think, wow, I bet that's really soft. And I will tell you, it doesn't feel like alpaca silk. Of course, it's not alpaca silk. It's a British long wool merino breed, but it is so nice to knit. It has a really, really wonderful hand. It is a single ply yarn, and it just feels lustrous. You know, it's not shiny, it's not silky, but it is, I don't know how else to describe it other than it's really tactily. It feels really great to touch. It's just beautiful to knit with. It glides over my needles easily. It's bouncy. It's beautiful. I feel like it's going to wash and wear really nicely. It's not a fragile yarn. And I did block my swatch. I did steam block it, and it really is nice and soft. So I would probably, I don't tend to be super sensitive to wool, but I would wear this next to my skin. I think it's fine for that. Yes, so it's so pretty. All right, Knitting Fever is giving you the information here. And I do have a picture of it from the magazine. Those of you who are in my club Crazy for You received this magazine from me earlier this month. So here's a picture of the garment. So very, very pretty. And let me look real quick and see how many skeins it takes, because I don't think it takes too many skeins to make this. Maybe somebody from Knitting Fever has that handy. Let's see. It takes, the smallest takes three skeins of the dark, and then 4, 4, and 5, 5, 5, and all sizes take 1 skein of the lighter color. So absolutely beautiful, that one. Another sweater that I think is really a triumph is this beautiful, very textural sweater. Can you see this? This has a beautiful texture. This is in the category, this is in the Amelia category. This is fun to knit and also really nice to wear. It's not miles and miles of stockinette, but you have a lot going on. But because the color is so subtle, it doesn't look overly busy. I think this is a really lovely garment. There's my dog. Do you hear him? This one is called Hakia. And yeah, so this is really beautiful. And this particular garment gives you a sense of just how soft and plushy Hunui is when it's knitted up. So really, really nice. Yeah, this is beautiful. And I like this because this is something that's kind of unisex. You could knit this for yourself, or you could knit it for a guy in your life or whatever. Make sure you've got the ring before you knit the guy the sweater, you know, the curse. But anyway, isn't that pretty? So I love this. And as I said, it's very, very nice to knit. And it comes in the 200 gram skeins with a generous 437 yards per. So that's nice because you can just get a couple skeins and you could definitely make a generous something. 4 skeins would make you a sweater, absolutely, positively sure, without fail. So super, super nice. Okay, the other one, let's see what Amelia said here. Yes. Okay, and then Knitting Fevers put up the sizing on that. Thank you so much. You guys are the best. Yes, I know. We would all wear that. I think it's beautiful. So the other yarn that I wanted to share with you guys is called Viola. And I think everybody has fallen in love with this yarn and this color just from the cover item, the cover sample on the book. This one is beautiful with lots of baubles on it. And we have this with the trunk show. In fact, the trunk show has every single garment that's in the magazine. So super excited. Sometimes we get, just a smattering of them, but this is every single garment that's in the magazine. So it's going to be fantastic. And the other sweater in that yarn is this one right here, which I also have right here. So let me bring this over and share this with you. So this is that sweater with a little bit of lace at the bottom. So super pretty. And who doesn't love that really, really soft pastel palette? But it's a beautiful palette in Viola. So it's not just that pale, but there's also, I think there's 6 colors of it. It's not actually available yet, but I do have it for pre-order. So this is the color that I swatched. Isn't that gorgeous? So this is the color that the sample is worked in. And this is the color that, like I said, that I swatched. I think the lights make it look much brighter than it is, but it's really a beautiful, brilliant, kind of raspberry color. So what is not to love about that, right? Again, 200 grams, 437 yards. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, it's going to knit just like the Hunui, right? So I get my size 8 needle out and I cast on, and boom, I am stopped cold because it is not happy on a size 8 needle at 18 stitches over 4 inches. Even though it has the same yardage, it's a much bulkier knit. So yeah, very, very different. So let me get this swatch out that I can show you. So it also, the ball band says 14 to 16 stitches. I think it's probably a little looser than that. Let me grab this and show you. Okay, so Ellen says it looks like a brick color. I think you can see from this angle that the color is much more raspberry. So Viola is very loosely spun. It's a single ply. And what they've done to give this beautiful effect, can you see that effect where there's sort of a little smattering of green and then a little bit of blue in there. So what they've kind of done is they have the whole like the roving or the almost loosely spun yarn in one color. And then it's like they've laid another bit down alongside it for a bit and applied it just very, very loosely. So you get not an overall kind of stripy effect, but more of an intermittent kind of stripy effect. So let me show you up close what I mean. So do you see how you'll get like a little bit of this green that sort of shows up for a bit and then goes away and, you know, comes back in and the blue. So it's a really, really lovely, subtle kind of striping in this particular colorway. I think in the pastel colorway, the striping is a little more pronounced, both beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So here at the bottom, where I began, this is where I was really kind of tight. And I wrote down my gauge, so let me refer to that. Okay, so at the beginning, I had, here I had like 16 stitches over 4 inches or no, 18. I tried to get 18. I actually only got 17 stitches down here. And I quickly decided that I really, really didn't like it at that gauge. I wasn't happy with that at all. So then I moved my needle size up kind of right here, and you can see that was better. So of course, gauge is what needle size I used to get a particular gauge is different than the needle size you, but I'll just tell you so that you can sort of see. I used an 8 here at the bottom, and then I changed to a 9 kind of up here, and I got 16 stitches, which is pretty typical. And then up here, I changed to a US 10 and I got 14 stitches. And I think, honestly, that that's a much happier fabric for this yarn. Whereas I'm not sure that Hunui would be as happy at 14. Viola is definitely happy at 14. So that opens up a whole host of possibilities in terms of garment options for you. So this would be just beautiful in a number of garments that call for 14 stitches over 4 inches. I can think of, so Joji Locatelli's Easy Bulky one, I think would be just stunning because it's just plain stockinette and it would allow the Noro to take center stage and just do what Noro does, which is just be beautiful. So I think that would be really, really pretty. But yeah, so about the yarn in terms, let's see. I see. Okay, it almost looks like a brick color. Yeah, it's not brick. There are parts of it that are kind of orangey in it, but I think it definitely overall reads more raspberry. Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful, Barbara. It really, really is. So yeah, I like it on the US 10 as well. I think it's much happier at that gauge, and it's a much more pleasant knit at that gauge. I will tell you, as I said, it is a loosely spun yarn. So if that bugs you, just be aware. Because it is loosely spun, you know, it has the tendency to sort of where those two colors come together to be flat. I took a picture, but I didn't get it up didn't go up to the cloud so that I could show you here. But I did take a picture of part of it, And it's sort of interesting how the two colors come together. There's nothing wrong with it, and there's nothing that a little bit of sort of hand plying or twisting it in your hands couldn't fix, and it doesn't impact the knitting at all. So I didn't do anything when I came to a spot like that other than to just knit it, and you can see here how that sort of looks. So you get a little bit of a textural aspect where those two colors together, which, you know me, I love Noro so much. I think everything about it is part of its charm. It's beautiful, and the colors are just, honestly, it's why we buy Noro. Okay, the beautiful colors and the constantly evolving ways that they make the colors work. It's not just a stripe. It's so imaginative, and I just love it. So I'm sorry if I'm gushing, because that's what I do. So what else did I want to tell you? Okay, so Viola is 100% wool, just like Hunui. And it is definitely more of something that you might want to wear over a blouse or something. I did steam block this, so it softened up a great deal after the steam block. And again, I am not a particularly itchy kind of person, but so I would probably wear it next to my skin. If you are sensitive to wool next to your skin, this is, it's not as soft as the Hunui. It feels like Noro, okay? So if you're a Noro lover, like I am, you're not surprised by the way Viola feels, okay? It feels like Noro. It's not a 18 micron merino. It's a nice, sturdy, quality yarn. And Noro's whole thing, remember, is world of nature. And he works very, very hard, Mr. Noro, that is, works very, very hard to preserve the natural feel of the materials that go into his yarns. So you're not going to get something that's been processed to death. When you feel wool, it's going to feel like wool. Okay. A lot of your extra fine or super fine merinos, like I'm talking about the 18 micron, you might feel them and you're like, wow, what is this? Is this silk? You're never going to have a question when you touch any of Noro yarns. You know that they're wool, and you can appreciate the beauty of the original fleece that came from. So I think that's cool. Now we had a question about what other colors that it came in, and I should be able to bring up that color card. Hang on just a second. I'll see if I can't have that, because I did get it. I did bring it up. Hang on, bear with me a minute. I apologize. So what's everybody doing tonight? What are you knitting? All right, 8 colors. Yeah, it's not on their website, but I think I do have the palette here. Give me a second. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to try to share this with you. Okay, hang on. Okay. Okay, so here are the colors. Oh my goodness, they're all so lovely. Yeah. Aren't they pretty? Oh my goodness. Is there any that you want to see again? Let's look at them again. Why not, right? I'll make it a big picture. Okay, so this is color 13, color 12, color 11, color 9, color 4, which is the color that I swatched, color 3, which is the color that the samples are knitted in, color 2, and color 1. So honestly, I think that there is absolutely something for everyone to love in terms of the viola. Now, one of you had a question, I guess it was Ellen. I know you live in New Orleans. So the question is it too hot for New Orleans? You know, I don't know how cold it gets down there, but again, viola is something that you might want to knit as a cardigan, so that you could have it on when you're when it's cold, and if you go inside where it's warm, you could take it off. So I definitely think that you could wear it, but I'll tell you, I know that you also go to Buffalo quite a bit, so it would be perfect in Buffalo. I probably wouldn't knit this yoked sweater for regular wear in New Orleans. I'm not sure I would knit this for regular wear here in the mid-Atlantic, but I don't know, I'm cold all the time. So super fun. All right, let's see, Amelia. 1, 9, and 11. Yes, 1 is beautiful. Yep. 9 is that soft green, and 11 is the real pale kind of purple. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. So I like the Hunui more than the viola. Isn't that interesting? So, or a vest. Yeah, that's a great idea, Marcia. Knit a vest out of something like that. Then it doesn't, it's not so overwhelming. And I don't know if you remember when we had Trisha Malcolm on the podcast and she was talking about fall fashion trends. Absolutely full of vests. She talked about how vests were the new shawl and how everybody was showing vests. And I had a friend come back from a shopping trip in Northern Virginia or DC, and she said that vests were everywhere. And I'm pleased to say that Noro knows that. And the Current magazine has a host of gorgeous, gorgeous vests, some in the existing yarns, and I think there's a couple in some of the other new yarns. So I don't have a sample of the Madara yet, but as soon as I do, I will swatch that up and share that with you. But I'm super excited to be able to share these two beautiful yarns with you because I think they are just a triumph. I'm especially thrilled about Hunui. I mean, I love being able to trace the provenance. I love that that this yarn is making such a difference in a small farm in New Zealand. I mean, doesn't that just feel so positive and good that you have a small family farm that's doing things the right way and really caring for their animals and this breed represents a pretty substantial economic factor in their lives. And we can enjoy that and support them and feel really good about the product. And it's not like you're, oh yeah, I'm going to buy it because I'm supporting them. No, it's really, really lovely. It's really, really nice to knit with and beautiful. And I think that natural color palette is stunning and again is even closer to Mr. Noro's vision of having the natural materials that go into his yarn very present and forward in the yarns that you're using. So anyway, I'm excited. Next week, I am going to be showing you all of the garments. I'm going to be doing the live from the shop. And we'll have a couple models trying on the garments and talking about how they like them, what they feel like, and their thoughts on them. So I'd love to have you join me then. And I will be having the yarn available for pre-order next week. I hope maybe some this week, so keep looking, but definitely have ordered quite a chunk of it, and it'll all be coming in as soon as it is ready. If you are local to the shop, please come by and see the trunk show. It will be up Friday, and we'll have it for I think we have it for a week or so. So don't miss that opportunity. So let's see. Oh, aren't you so sweet? Yes. we have a decent amount of Noro in the shop. So I like to say that we carry most all of their fibers because I'm kind of an addict. It's a sickness. All right, but we're out of time. Thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasure, and I will see you again next week.